Welcome to Guys Sports. It is your boy Mike, and this is my NBA weekly conversation. See, I was gonna record this yesterday, but then we got news, the unfortunate news of Bronny James, and then we also got news about Jaylen Brown. So then I decided not to. But today I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna talk. I don't know how long I'm gonna talk for, but when you think there's no NBA news, or when you think you don't want to go on a tangent, you end up going on 20 tangents. Before I continue, make sure you like and subscribe. I saw my Raptor video has done well. I see a lot of likes on there. Make sure you subscribe. Don't just like it. Subscribe. Even if you dislike it, subscribe. That's the best feeling. I love when people don't like what I'm saying. I want you to comment and tell me what you dislike, and maybe I will address it in my next video. You never really know, but I love it. I love talking basketball. I love talking sports in general. Hopefully, when the football season starts, I may start talking football like I used to do back in the day. I love all that. It's some of my favorite sports. I love baseball as well. And I was just recently, this is my famous tangents. Just recently, I was watching the Blue Jays game 2 nights ago. They won. Then they were up like I think it was like 6-3 maybe or something like that. They were up, and then I went to bed. Woke up to a loss. Sports fandom is just hard. I've made multiple videos about being a sports fan and how hard it can be being a sports fan. The pain that is caused by being a sports fan is unmatched. It's just simply unmatched. It's not something that I would give to my worst enemy because when you are a sports fan and things don't go well, you're brokenhearted. You're brokenhearted. People think that you're probably angry and hurt about not being able to order a burger. No, that's never the case. You're hurt because you're still thinking about the fact that Ghana had a penalty shot and they missed. And it could have made them to go into the next round, but they missed a penalty shot in 2000 and I think it was 8 World Cup. You're still thinking about things like that. Okay? You're still thinking about the fact that the Maple Leafs were up like was it 3-2 or something like that, and they lost to the Boston Bruins a few years back. These are the things that you think about as a sports fan. See, my tangent. I'm not gonna do all that. But let's first. We're gonna start talk. We're gonna go more of a somber note. But no, hopefully now. And now it's a good note, right? We'll talk about that first. We're gonna talk about Bronny James. Unfortunately, he had collapsed when he was, I'm presuming practicing in the USC practice facility. He had collapsed. He had a cardiac arrest. Luckily, through God's will, he was able to, get to the hospital. They were able to treat it quickly, and now he's in better condition. I don't believe he's in the ICU anymore. Everything, from all accounts, from reported by Shams, is on the up and up. So you're hoping, for a speedy recovery for himself. You're hoping for the James family as a whole. Knows that everyone's praying for them, everyone's with them. That hopefully, Bronny can be able to play again. If not, hopefully he can be an ambassador for the NBA or something like that. Because he probably loves basketball, probably loves ball. And it sucks that this were to happen to of course, a young kid. It sucks that happens to anybody. For such a young man, for this to happen to, you're just hoping for a speedy recovery, and you're hoping that everything's gonna be okay for him. So prayers up for Bronny. Prayers up to the whole LeBron James family, Savannah, the next girl, the little girl, like pray the grandma, pray for everybody. That everything's gonna be okay, especially the young man, to know that people are by his side, and if he decides, because some people could, you never know, some people could decide to not play ball again. He could just say like I'm too afraid. Maybe his family would be like, this is a real health issue, and we don't want to experience him collapsing because of playing ball. So maybe it could be something that they talk as a family and go like, is this something that we really see in his future? It may not be. Sometimes things just happen, and you don't want it to be the last thing that you think of. But he loves ball, so you're hoping, for the sake that he still has the ability to play. It's happened before to people, and it's unfortunate when it does happen. Sometimes it could be life threatening, sometimes it can be career threatening, and you're hoping this one is not career or life threatening. It's cardiac arrest though, so you got to take it as serious as your heart, right? You got to take it as seriously as you can. So, but I will move on from that. Once again, prayers to LeBron James and his family. The next thing I was going to talk about James Harden, but like, forget all that. This is something quick. This is something I saw last week, that the OKC Thunder, they have to let go of somebody. They have like 21 mans on the roster. They have so much guys that, you know, that need to get minutes. They need, and some guys may want to leave so they can go to a different team. Maybe go to like a Detroit, and maybe get some more minutes. Or not really Houston. I think Houston already has those guys. OKC kind of has too much guys. You have too much guys. If you look at that team, you have of course Shea, you have Giddy, who will probably be your second ball handler overall. You have Chet, who you probably want this guy to win the Rookie of the Year. I think you're going to go for that. I think Chet may try to go for 16 points a game plus. You have Jalen Williams. You have Jalen Williams again. If both of them, they probably want to see, especially one of them, you want to see the Santa Clara player. You want to see him play because a lot of people believe in him, and who knows what he can become. You start to see the other Jalen Williams, who could be a nice small ball five, but really like maybe a power forward type player. Could be a better defender, things like that. Maybe that's what you're looking for him. So you got those are your core already. And mind you, have like the man has 37 draft picks. Presti is just hoarding these draft picks. You can't you he has to trade them, and he's gonna like he's just looking for the right time. And no one's talking about OKC, but I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about Giannis, and they were saying Giannis has become a free agent one day. Before he becomes a free agent, let's just call it as we see it. Why would Milwaukee now? Now I'm starting the rumor now, so I'm hoping someone who listens to this can be like, it was first said by Michael. It was first said by those guys sports. First said OKC trades Chet like 8 of their first round picks because they have so much of them. Calls Milwaukee up and says, "Hey, you're not going to win the title. Give us Giannis. We'll give you Chet. Probably have to give you Jalen Williams, and we'll give you like I don't know how much draft picks you can trade a team, but you're gonna trade them like 5, 6 of them for Giannis. And then you pair Giannis and Shea. Now they have their core. Maybe you still have a Giddy. Maybe you may have some other guys that you can kind of grow with. Of course, you're hoping OKC could just win a title, but eventually you're gonna trade those picks. So right now, OKC has too much guys. I know Raptor fans, as a Raptor fan myself, are thinking, okay, we have a roster spot open. Maybe if they have to let go of a Trey Man, you snatch him up, right? They're gonna have to let go of someone good. I don't know who else. I'm not sure if they want to let go of Poku to get some other young guys more run. Mind you, Poku's already a young guy. I think the belief in Poku has dwindled down from what they believed was before. So just things like that, KC's gonna have to do something. They're the team that they have all the cards. They really do. They can make some massive trades to make some win now moves. A lot of people believe that Shea is an MVP type candidate, and if that's the case, OKC has a lot of leverage. They have a lot of leverage, and I think it's possible for them to have as a whole. So that's just something I'm talking about now. I'll say wait in the future. We'll see. But like I said, I was the first one to say it. Don't sleep on OKC making a monster trade for a guy like a Giannis. I don't know who else they can kind of go for. Maybe a Dallas if Luka was ever tired. But do you want to put Luka and Shea together? I'm not too sure about the old. They're talented. You never know. Maybe the Suns, the whole thing that's not going to work out at all, really doesn't work out. And why not put Shea and Devin Booker together? The Suns can start getting back all that draft asset by OKC. OKC can make another team's like horrible draft asset better. So I think that's something that I can see happening. So that's just me throwing it out there. That's just me just a little salt. But I just thought OKC having to cut someone is big for a lot of teams in the league, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I wanted to talk about Draymond Green and Andrew Nicholson. If you don't know who Andrew Nicholson is, he's a Canadian. He played for St. Bonaventure. He was a forward. He was like a top 20 pick, I believe, in that draft with Draymond Green. Draymond Green was, historically like 30 something, 40 plus. He can say all the guys who were drafted ahead of him, and saying that he spoke about, some guys don't even look like they love ball. Some guys don't look like they want ball. I'm like misquoting it, but whatever. At the end of the day, he talked about Andrew Nicholson, talked shit about Andrew Nicholson, and basically was saying like, is this guy really a baller? You can just tell this guy's not a baller. Okay. Andrew Nicholson did respond. He did respond, and then said that he doesn't think about Draymond Green. He's living his own life. He's doing his own thing. Luckily he was able to make it to the NBA, get a contract with the NBA. I think he got two contracts with the NBA. Able to like support his family, blah blah blah, all those things. He was able to do. He played overseas, played for Team Canada. I like Andrew Nicholson. I thought he would have been a good player. I thought he would have been a really good role player. Unfortunately, things didn't happen that way. I think it's also the Orlando Magic at the time where he got drafted. I think they're in such a flux, and I think Orlando's in such a better place now. I think at one point they just weren't in a good place as an organization. I think sometimes when you have so much draft picks, you don't know what to do. Like kind of like Washington Wizards, they didn't know what to do. Like finally traded Bradley Beal, but at one point when you keep getting top 10 draft picks and nothing comes of it, it just hurts you overall. So that's what Orlando was, I think, at the time. But Draymond Green, I like Jaylen Brown as a player. I think that my brain wishes it was Dwayne Wade, but I think I'm probably more of a Draymond Green. If I had to say a type of player, I would be. Of course, he's an actual player. I'm not. He's way better than I would ever be. His pinky's better than my whole body could be. So let's like say that as well. Because I one thing I hate when people like misquote shit. So, but Draymond Green, the one thing that like once again, I wish like he's someone that I wish I could talk to. Because I do think he brings a lot of insight, but I think sometimes he just says shit. Like I think Draymond Green just like talks so much fucking shit. Like pardon my language, but sometimes Draymond needs to shut up. Because I think for a good player that he talks as if he's Steph Curry. Like he talks, and it's like even the Dylan Brooks thing, right? Like the thing what makes Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green different is that Draymond Green has the rings. If Draymond Green was talking this much with no rings, he wouldn't have a podcast. He wouldn't have got paid the way he got paid. He just wouldn't be that guy, obviously speaking. But because he has the rings, because he's an amazing defensive player, top defensive players of all time, probably top like four all time. If we're really thinking about, you got Jordan, Rodman, Pippen. Of course, you have Gary Payton. You have a bunch of guys you can name, but I think Draymond Green for a lot of people probably top five best defensive players. He can defend any position. He really can defend any position. So that's something that he has over a lot of people. But I just think he talks so much shit. Like my thing is like, why are you bringing up this guy's name? Like, why are you? And it's not like you're bringing it in the context of like you spoke to him and this is what happened and he said that he doesn't really love the game anymore. You just brought up his name randomly. You're like, oh, Andrew Nicholson, like that guy, he look like he likes ball. Like you just brought up some random guy's name during some random time, and it's just like, what was the point of all that? If you're Draymond, what did you gain? Draymond, you're an all-star, an all NBA player. You are a future Hall of Famer. You're all these things. Why did you bring up this guy's name? And I think the more of the things that Draymond has been like speaking so much that I think people are starting to get more annoyed by Draymond because it's kind of like not like where is this coming from? It's kind of like bro, you sound so bitter. Like you sound so angry about certain things. And it's kind of like, why are you angry now? Like, you made it, bro. Just prove everyone wrong who didn't draft you. If you go against a team, keep killing it. Keep doing your thing. Let your actions start speaking. Because there's talking shit and then being disrespectful. And I don't think he was talking shit. I think he's just being disrespectful. Right? You can talk your shit, man. Come on, that's the best basketball. Fucking talk shit. Talk about certain players or whatever, like do all that stuff. But when you're just blatantly talking about a man's lack of love for the game, like now you're just talking shit. Now you're kind of like stepping over like a bounce a little bit. Like it's like Jeremy, what's your problem? That's how I see it. Like Jeremy, what's your problem? Like what are you saying? What are you dealing with? Like what's going on? Like I just don't understand that completely. Um, I would hope that someone like Draymond would honestly be smarter with some of the things he says. It's not a perfect science of it all. It's just something that I just think would have to be better as a whole. Sorry, because my camera was looking kind of grady. I have to go close here. It gets better, then go a little back. Thank you. I still like this camera. It's actually not that bad. It just kind of goes in and out. Maybe I have to fix something, but it is what it is. Once I get that paycheck from a TSN, a Sportsnet, Bleachers Report, one of those, they can start leveling up me. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but yeah, all in all, I just wasn't a big fan of what Draymond was saying. It's just kind of like shut up, like respectfully shut up. And why don't you like anything I would ever talk about? I would say to an NBA player's face, I will never be a type of person to not be honest with a person, because at the end of the day, you also want to be honest with yourself. So I'll be honest with them. If Jamal was here, if he ever would do a podcast that has like 100 views, like come on this podcast, Dre. You know, Dre, if you want to have a network, have multiple people talking, hire me, holla at me. And I'll be like, hey, Dre, sometimes you talk too much. Facts. You just talk too much. Like, just what was the point of bringing this guy up? That's all I'm saying. I'm glad Andrew Nicholson didn't like he was more just like, what the hell? It was out of nowhere. Like I'm just like in my couch, I'm living my life, and this guy just brings me up, pretty much calling me a bum. Like scrap all that. Like what's really going on? I know he wasn't the hugest fan of all that, and I just think there's ways to, just say that you didn't like where you're drafted, but I think you were drafted that way for a reason. There was something that people felt like you were missing, and you proved them wrong. That's amazing. Like Fred VanVleet, former Toronto Raptor, like he proved everyone wrong. If you do a redraft, Fred VanVleet is a top 10 right now. Fred's yearly income may be better than the number one draft pick that year, which is Ben Simmons. Because I don't know if Ben Simmons is ever going to get a crazy contract again. Even if he plays well, I'm not sure if he get a crazy contract. Mind you, he's still very young, and I don't know if he'll get that. Like I'm not too sure. I think his contract now, once it's done, I don't know if he'll ever get a 3-year, $100 million type contract. I think Fred, an undrafted player, may have more money than he could have. The guy behind me, which I'm about to talk about, is already beating him, and I don't think he's gonna stop because this guy, he's gonna do this until he's like 30 something. But yeah, we'll talk about him. The next thing I want to chat about is Dwayne Wade and Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce had recently said, one of these many sports podcasts, he had said, you know what? I believe that if I had Dwayne Wade's support, like LeBron, like Chris Bosh, I would have won just as much titles. If I had Prime Shaq, I would have won the title. That's such a hindsight thing to say. It's just hindsight. It's so easy to say that now because all the accomplishments already been made. It's easy to say it's easy for me to say if Kawhi stayed the next 2 years, the Raptors are winning the title. Like it's easy because they just won one. So I could just say they could have won the next two. They could have won the bubble because that was the following season, which they took Boston to 7 games. Who, if they won, they would have faced Miami, and Miami was on a mission that time. I don't know if they would have beat Miami, but they would have taken Miami pretty far. And even Toronto won. Then you say they would have made it to the finals, probably lose to LeBron. But if they had Kawhi, it's a different question. Kawhi was on a crazy mission. Well, look at Golden State. Hindsight again. If they didn't get Kevin Durant, does LeBron not have an extra title or two? Like it's so easy to say that like these things were to happen. Mind you, this is the argument that LeBron fans have over Michael Jordan fans. LeBron's the GOAT because he had to go against the best team of all time. Well, Michael Jordan never had to go against that. If you put the teams that LeBron has faced and the teams that Michael Jordan has faced in the finals, and you go who is the best player, yeah, I think Michael Jordan faced Magic Johnson and Kareem at the end of their careers. At the end of the careers, he not really Magic's, but the end of Kareem's career. So he didn't face a really good Lakers team, but they won. They still won. And you don't want to diminish that, but if you after you go there, the best player that Michael Jordan has faced in the finals is probably Karl Malone, then Charles Barkley, and then you have to go Clyde, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp. But LeBron, the best players he has faced is Tim Duncan, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. I'm not saying those three already top 15 players. Duncan to some of the top 10 player. Steph to some people the top 10 player. So LeBron has faced Duncan and Steph Curry, two top 10 players. Michael Jordan has faced at least top 25 players. So it's different in opinion. So I just think what Paul Pierce is saying, like, oh, if I had this guy, if I had that guy, it's an easy argument to have. He is not incorrect in saying that. The thing is, Paul Pierce is not incorrect. He's right. If he had a Shaq, he would have a better chance. So thus saying that is also then talking about Kobe Bryant and saying that Kobe wouldn't have won his first two titles if he didn't have Shaq, which within itself is correct. And because it's correct, you can't devalue what they're saying, but that's such a hindsight. That's not a good argument. At the end of the day, it's all about eye test. And the accolades are different. Dwayne Wade and Paul Pierce both have never won a title. Both are NBA Finals MVPs. Dwayne Wade has a higher average points. He has a higher number of points over. Oh no, I think Bob Pierce is higher than that. But Dwayne Wade has just been more successful. Now let's just forget it all and let's go eye test. Okay, eye test. Dwayne Wade was a better player. Now the one thing that they had said is that Dwayne Wade is a flashier player, and I agree. When a player is flashier, people tend to like them more. The debate with Kobe and Tim Duncan is that at the end of the day, Kobe's way more flashy than Tim Duncan. No, unless you're a big man, you're never gonna say that you want to play like Tim Duncan. No, you want Tim Duncan's career. You want the 5 titles. You want to win 50 games every single season. You want the All-Star coach, All NBA type coach. You want the All-Star, backcourt in like a Ginobili and Parker. You want the up and comer, and you want all those things. I get it. Tim Duncan had a really good squad with him. But then it's just like it's hindsight. We're and then Kobe's a flashier player, so people love Kobe. Who doesn't? Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, DeMar DeRozan, all say Kobe's their favorite player. A lot of people love Allen Iverson. Wade's favorite player is Allen Iverson, so was LeBron because that's what they came up with. Allen was that dude. Allen changed the game. People talk about guys who changed the game. Allen Iverson he is game changers, a top 5 game changer of all time. Top 5. You have Magic Johnson, who I think is one of probably the first real game changer. You could talk about Bill and Wilt and Kareem, but like I said, a lot of people didn't want to play like them. People want to play like Magic. People want to play like Iverson. They want to play like Kobe, Jordan, of course, and LeBron. That's who the molds are. A lot of these players are. We talk about guards nowadays, these point guards. Allen Iverson was really one of the first point guards who you're asking this guy to score 30 points. Of course, you had Isaiah and things like Magic was obviously scoring points, but you were really thinking that like you had a shooting guard and Allen Iverson play the point the whole time, or just hammer the ball the whole time. But so if we're going style wise, Dwayne Wade, stylistically, is a better player than Paul Pierce. Like he views better in the naked eye than a Paul Pierce does. I don't want to diminish Paul Pierce by any means, but I think he's a good player. And he was a bigger guy who still did his thing, still was able to handle the ball at the level that he was able to handle it. But I think all in all, what I'm really trying to say is Dwayne Wade was just a better player. Okay. He just was. He just was. And I know Paul Pierce wants to continue this argument because he just doesn't believe that Dwayne Wade was, but he was coming from, yeah, he had Shaq and he won with Shaq, and then with Paul Pierce, he had a KG and Allen, and they still made it to 2 NBA finals with those guys. But Dwayne Wade was still doing his thing even after Shaq left. Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat were still pretty good after LeBron James left. It's just the thing is that Dwayne Wade had injuries. Dwayne Wade didn't have injuries. Paul Pierce was never considered a top 3 player in the league at any time. At one point, Dwayne Wade was the best player in the league. You had to argue that Dwayne Wade was the best player in the league. Paul Pierce has never been a guy that you would never say he's top 5. You just wouldn't. And you look at the history of the Boston Celtics of that team. Paul Pierce was very good for that team, very good. But Paul Pierce, when he went to when he's with KG and Ray Allen, you really thought that it was KG that brought that intensity and brought them over that hump. Paul Pierce didn't do all that stuff. Wade had the intensity. Wade could have been great. LeBron came to him, right? Wade could have still won a title without LeBron. It could have been possible because that was still Wade's best years when he was with the Miami Heat. That 06 to basically 2013, 2014 was like the best prime Wade that we had. That was his prime. Like 06 Wade was still nice. Like Dwayne Wade was an amazing player. Almost every year he just got injured. Honestly, he just got injured. Dwayne Wade was just that dude. And I don't believe Paul Pierce was ever considered that guy. When we think about shooting guards, of course, we think about, Jordan, we think about Kobe, and then we think about Dwayne Wade. When we're thinking about small forwards, we're not thinking about Paul Pierce. We're just not. We're thinking about guys like Durant over him. We're thinking, of course, about Larry, LeBron, arguably Scottie Pippen. There's just guys who are just above. Now, the small forward position has just brought in more talent. Like, I was thinking about this whole argument, thinking about having this conversation. When I was thinking about the shooting guard position, Honestly, the shooting guard position throughout all five positions is the one position that's not the deepest. It's not the deepest. After you go like the top five is top five. Like I said, Jordan, Kobe, Wade, Harden, and Jerry West. Then maybe if you want to put Allen Iverson as a two, he's like six. And of course, there's multiple other guys, but you're not really talking about them like that. Those first three, those are even Jerry West you're talking about, even Harden you're talking about. Those five you're really talking about. Not really. Like center, we can go down the list, right? We like everyone's talking. Jokic has. Some people can argue Jokic is not a top 10 center. It could be an argument, but the top five is top five already at center position with the not in order, but Bill, Kareem, Wilt, Shaq, being the names that you instantly, Akeem, instantly mentioned those five guys. It's hard to break that five. It's just hard. Small forward, same thing. So I just think it's like we're talking about positions, and I think everyone, if you just watch Dwayne Wade and what he did, and mind you, yes, I'm a Dwayne Wade fan, but I can say like certain players are better than Dwayne Wade. I thought at one point Dwayne was better than LeBron. Uh, I don't believe in watching both guys. When I've watched both guys, I've watched the highlights. Paul Pierce, clutch shooter. When the game was down the line, you needed Paul Pierce to do his thing. But don't ever sleep on, post LeBron, Dwayne Wade, what he did in Chicago with a Jimmy and a Rondo, what he did in the playoffs against Charlotte, like shutting everyone up. Like Dwayne Wade was that guy, consistently that guy. Injuries just took him over. He couldn't battle the injuries, and that's what happened with Dwayne Wade. And once again, you can say, "Oh, I should have joined this. He had this and that." Then why don't you go to another team? Like I just don't. That argument is an argument you can make, but it's like the last argument and your final argument. Build more of a case and then say something like that. Once again, Paul Pierce isn't wrong. If he had prime Shaq, he'd be much better. But the Boston Celtics were still a great team. They were still a team that was supposed to be in the NBA Finals, just lost to Jason Kidd and the New Jersey Nets. So let's never sleep on that. But that's my Pierce and Dwayne Wade rant. But all in all, I just don't believe that I don't believe that he's better. He's just not. Now, in saying that, the guy behind me continue this Boston conversation, and to end it on this note, this podcast is Jaylen Brown. He got the bag. He got the bag. Deserves a 5-year, $304 million for Jaylen Brown, the richest contract in NBA history. You know, the statement is correct, valid, but it's like almost going to be irrelevant in like a year because it's going to be another guy that's going to sign it. There's already reports that believe that Shea, because I think the way the contracts work, it'll be whoever the next guy is. So Shea's going to probably have a $400 million contract. Shea's younger, so it's going to be a pretty good contract for him going into his 30s. But if Zion was playing, Zion would have a pretty big and I mean like if he continues playing, his extension will be kind of crazy. There's a lot of guys that are extension eligible that could be like phenomenal contracts. It's gonna happen. It is what it is. Now the argument some people are making is he worth the contract? The question can be who, being worth the contract is subjective or and objective to some. Like at the end of the day, it comes down to this. Is Jaylen Brown one of the best players on this team? Okay, let's rank his team. Who is the best player on the team? Jason Tatum. Okay, Jason Tatum is number one. Jason Tatum's going to get a fat contract too. I think Jason Tatum is eligible for extension next season. He'll get it. He'll get it. Because at the end of the day, Jaylen Brown's about to make like 30 million more than Jason Tatum for I think the next like season or two. But once he, restructures his contract, Jason Tatum's gonna be the number one player on that team. As long as you can't count people's bread, you just can't. Jason Tatum's gonna get his, no doubt. Jason Tatum will get his. So, and Jason Tatum is younger, so he's gonna obviously his time will come. Jason Tatum is the best player on the team. The second best player on the team is Jaylen Brown. And the thing that people have to understand and people have to see, there is nobody on the Boston Celtics that is better than Jaylen Brown. Not even close. Not even close to better than Jaylen Brown on the team. Jason Tatum is number one. Jaylen Brown is closer to Jason Tatum than anyone else on the Boston Celtics, being close to Jaylen Brown at number two. That is it. So no matter what anyone else can say, nobody is better than Jaylen Brown, but Jaylen Brown is closer to Jason Tatum than anyone else would be to Jaylen Brown. That's why he deserves this contract. This contract, he's gonna play well. Yeah, I think this is such a hindsight thing to talk about because at the end of the day, when it comes to Jaylen Brown, he didn't play well this past postseason, and people are shitting on him. But I think they forget the fact that Jason Tatum was not playing well in that NBA Finals. That Jaylen Brown was the best player for the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. People forget that. Jaylen Brown was that guy, that whole playoff series last year. You know, the whole postseason, he was amazing, better than Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum had an amazing season this year. Jaylen Brown also had a great season as well, increasing his points. His defense has gone down, yes, but that's just happens when you. It's hard to be a two-way player. It really is. And only a few guys can, you know, at an elite level, do both. Like elite scoring, elite playing defense. It's hard. I think right now um, there's only one guy consistently is Kawhi. Anthony Davis does it, but he has moments where offensively he's dying down. So I would say it goes him and then probably Anthony Davis, number two Kawhi, and then Anthony Davis. So it's hard to do both. But Jaylen Brown deserves the contract. There's no question. And you have to pay him. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if you're Boston? Not pay him? Let him go to free agency and then lose him? Because I think, watching first things first, I think it is true. I don't think Jaylen Brown wants to be a Boston Celtic. He signed the contract because that's the team that can offer him it. So let's be honest. Now, if he does he want to stay, I don't know, but I think even the way Boston fans are thinking, they know they have to pay the man, but I don't think they want him. And I think that's crazy because, like, man, go top 25 players in the league. He's a top 25 player in the league. Like, you lose Jaylen Brown, what are you getting in return? What do you think you're getting in return? You're not getting some like top notch player of his caliber. You're not. You're going to get someone lower, and you need someone with a Jason Tatum. So unless you trade a Jaylen Brown for an offensive big, like you got to go for like a Karl Anthony Towns type, which once again you're hurting yourself defensively. But you have to go for a big that can match with Jason Tatum because I always feel like guards like these guys need a solid big, or you have to trade a Jaylen Brown for a bunch of like 3, 4 pieces because Porzingis is like an all-star. That's not gonna happen. He's not gonna be no damn all-star. He'll be a really good player. He's gonna be a great number 3 to these two guys. But that's it. That's really it. But other than that, you don't see nothing else. So do I see Jaylen Brown asking for his trade next season? I don't feel like that's really in his character. Like I don't see it being as like profiled as maybe a James Harden has, or what's his name, a Damian Lillard has. But I do see it happening. Like I do see him talking to Boston, especially if they don't win a title, and going like, "I think it's my time. I may want my own." I can see that, but I like Jaylen Brown. I think that's crazy to. I think it's crazy that anyone can ever, look at his smile. Look at the man's happy. The man's about to get the conversation, but the man's happy. The man's about to get the bag. He get that's generational wealth for him and his family. For anyone who disagrees, like I said, who the hell were you going to pay? Were you gonna let this guy walk? You're not letting him walk. Now, mind you, if you trade him, you're gonna have to get multiple pieces. If Dame waited maybe a year and Portland can see how things were going, maybe you could have argued to get like maybe we'll get Scoot to pair with Jason Tatum. Maybe that then you put Jaylen Brown with a Dame. That would be kind of good. That'd be really good actually. But this is not how it is. You got to pay him. He deserves it. He deserves it. Jaylen Brown, get your bag, get your money. Jason Tatum will get his as well. Boston fans should be happy about this because he's a good player. But that's it for me. That's my podcast for the day. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you follow the TikTok as well. Subscribe and like to that as well. And I'll talk to you guys again. Peace, 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 peace. And we'll see. Maybe Dane will get traded. Maybe Harden will get traded. They're saying Terrence Mann is not a part of the deal, but I think if it had to come down, Microsoft owner, he's gonna do it.